Yes.
That's correct.
First of all, thank you everyone for coming today. And Marta and Vanessa and the whole organization behind Women in Mobile for creating this incredible event. Really, really cool to see so many super powerful, intelligent women in blockchain. As Marta said, I'm the co-founder of the European Blockchain Convention, where we actually managed to have around 40% female speakers, where Monse and Marjan participated. And this was something very, very important for us, not because 40% represents the industry or people working in blockchain. What I'm trying to say is, as you could see before, more or less you have 14% women working in blockchain startups. So this is an issue. So it's really important with an event like this, and it's really important to show more women, to inspire more women to get into this industry. So yeah, I'll try to moderate this panel with some questions. I hope you can all follow. They are not too technical. So yeah, to begin with, I would like to ask all of you if you could try to explain shortly what you are trying to solve within your organizations and how blockchain DLT can fix this, or at least try to solve these issues.
So I start?
Yeah.
Okay. So in our case, it's quite interesting because what we try, or what I try, is to guarantee that all the partners that are part of the association really understands the powerful use, how can that be useful for them in all different segments and all different sizes of companies. So what that means that blockchain is useful also for a very small company as a large corporation. Both of them can benefit of it, and also for any of the segments, finance, from until finance to health. Anyone can be benefit of that. So this is what I'm trying to do. I'm putting all my effort, I'm doing. So I try to make it happen hardly.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, Martin?
Well, I think I tried to explain in my presentation, today there is no network globally in order to handle the payments. I think that's really the use case that we are using, and we think that not only blockchain but the digital asset, this combination can help to bring a new experience and diminish drastically the cost for international payments.
In our case, in Tracer, as Laura was explaining before, we've created a smart ticket. Right now in the ticketing industry, the biggest problem is you sell a ticket and it's like a black hole. You don't really know what's going to happen with it. So there's this game tomorrow in Madrid. There's Real Madrid against FC Barcelona, and we know that around 2 million euros are going to be spent in resale tickets. And football clubs, in this case, cannot do anything to control that. Well, couldn't. Because thanks to this smart ticket that is based in blockchain, now they can control, they can set up rules, and they can decide if their tickets can be resold or not. They can put, for example, price caps, etc. So that gives them full control over what happens with the entire journey of the ticket.
Thank you.
I'm
Laura.
more focused on infrastructure because I think that the most interesting use case right now are supply chain and identity. Also because maybe it's more in line with my background, and because I think that it's more important to build up the infrastructure and be focused on infrastructure rather than application. Not that is wrong. It's fantastic that there are different people that are doing different things, but this is mainly my focus. Supply chain, because the dynamics of the supply chain concretely reflect how the blockchain has been designed by default. And digital identity, because I think that it's a problem since a while, and there are many interesting use cases where digital identity, decentralized digital identity, is used, and because as we missed before Bitcoin a layer of payment in the network of internet, we miss also a layer of identity, and identity is the gateway across many type of applications.
And one question in regard to Hyperledger. How far is Hyperledger in terms of their infrastructure? Now that you mentioned that for you.
So Hyperledger is focused only on infrastructure, and the goal is to create a default infrastructure for enterprise. So this is the target. They have many different projects. 5 projects so far, 5 tools, and they are in different stages of the development.
Thank you. Great. If anyone has any questions, you're welcome to interact. I'll continue with the next question, which is related to our physical world and the digital world. So I guess for many people, they question themselves, how do you connect something from the real world to a blockchain? So this is the next question. How do we do that?
Yeah, well, I said before, it's very important to understand that this is a mathematical translation. So everything in a physical world can be measured and then have a unique identifier that we need to decide which one is. So this is the challenge, no? In case of coins, no, it's a little bit easier, no? I will say it's not very easy, but it's easier in terms that I have a coin that is a token, and I said this token is going to have this value, and that's all. In terms of moving things and translating things to the blockchain, you need to measure, like the diamonds. You need to understand what is the mathematical formula that you are going to use to translate this physical element to something that will be unique in the blockchain. So this is why it's so important, the experience and the participation of people who is day-to-day doing things with objects or with anything else. In terms of tickets, I guess that...
In terms of tickets, we are a little bit behind because when we discuss with these event organizers, the first things they tell us is, I want to kill scalpers, I want to kill resellers, but half of my venue is paper tickets. We cannot control paper. Paper is very easy to duplicate, to fake. Every ticket, every single ticket in a stadium needs to be digital. And that's a first step for them, but that's a huge step, and they are sometimes scared of doing it, and they don't want to generate friction with people. And sometimes what we need to demonstrate and to tell them is that customers are more than used to use digital tickets. I think we all came here without worrying about printing all the papers, and they just need to see it, and it's very important that we transmit a frictionless process of adoption of these technologies.
So, for example, back into the use case of supply chain, there are some tools like READ that is like a barcode that can be put in the physical packet and can be traced into blockchain. This is one example. Another example is, for example, for the IoT. Instead of going, for example, to the Vespa sharing and be forced to download the application and register in the application, the idea is to use the DLT, the blockchain, and go there and immediately use the bike or whatever, like mobility, transportation, public transportation shared without using specific application.
Thank you.
But in our case, it's really, I think, the price, if you go back, I understand that the store of value is very important and you need certain representation. In the case of XRP, it's more supply and demand. You see, and the price is determined by supply and demand. Now, when we use that in the context of the sourcing on demand and or as a bridge asset in order to convert one fiat currency to another, then obviously it's the main purpose is how you can manage to decrease the cost that it is associated to the FX. And it's always around, you know, democratizing more the liquidity management.
Thank you. Great. So we'll continue to next question. So blockchain, as you may have understood, is a distributed, decentralized database. So the idea is obviously to have different stakeholders on board. And here I would like to ask you, how do you get different stakeholders on board, potentially being competitors, well, or it could be within the same organization, but how is that possible?
I think what is clear is, I think when you understand that you are in a 21st century where the digitalization is next to you and you are not extracting all the benefit, most of the people understand that, no? It's like something I'm missing something around. People is talking about blockchain, about Bitcoin, anything else, about the centralized network. And myself, in my business, I didn't change a lot over the last 5 years in terms of digitalization. I'm continue doing the same. I'm trying to extract the maximum possible of my mobile app, but still I'm not sure if I'm having a lot of fraud or less fraud or whatever. So something I'm missing. And I think when a stakeholder, somebody in a high-level hierarchy, a decision maker, sees that the world is changing and is missing the train, is when it starts to ask for help, no? Like, tell me more about that. What I can do? Who knows about that? It's too young technology. It's going to be like GPS. It's going to be like digital photography. If we understand what happened with digital photography before it happened, maybe some of the big companies will not disappear, no? So it's something that we call this. We start to have a fear of being out of the final innovation. So this is, I think, something is what we need, and I will guarantee that it could happen. So it's a moment where we are transitioning from a time to time more exponential benefits on the digitalization, and maybe we are missing this one. So this is why the stakeholders start to question, I need to be more digital, I need to understand more the technology.
Thank you.
I think in our case is about trust, because there are a lot of stakeholders that don't really belong to the technology industry, and sometimes you need to accompany them to all the process. And it's about language. Sometimes when you explain them what you're going to do, they don't really get it. So it's much better to explain them that you are going to solve their problems, and then in a second phase, maybe you can go deeper into the technical aspects.
We can talk about that, but I really feel that depends how you manage your company, no? If you rely more on just external consultancies, and it's the way you do, you could do it like that. I think in digitalization and the new age, more and more is about personalization, and if you cannot be your own user, it could be difficult that you can manage with a proper understanding. So it's very important, and I recommend to get on track. You see, we are having interest on learning some very difficult things like different languages. Why we don't have interest to understand much more what is the digitalization, what is the net, what is behind the net, what are the codes, no? It's a new language. So I suggest that just don't build, don't trust anyone around you.
No, it's not about, I was talking not about the technology itself, we have everything in-house, it's about explaining a football team how you're going to solve a problem through the blockchain itself. In a first meeting, you'd say blockchain, they run away, and you need them as clients. So somehow you need to convince them, and you need to demonstrate that they can trust you, and you're going to be with them around all the process.
It's a good thing with a football team, because in digitalization, maybe the football team will be digital. So we are going to have more e-business. So maybe a good football player in the new future, if it doesn't know how to play in the PlayStation, could be a problem. No? What I mean is that we need to be very careful to not make ourselves more intelligent than anyone, you see. I think all of us, we are able to understand technology if you explain it in a proper way. if you make it complex, it will be complex always. If you make it more easy, it will be more easier. So if we are consulting about technology, we must have the responsibility to the people in front of us, understand why it's there, because I'm saying that because cyber attacks, if the one who has the business doesn't understand how much risky is what you are going to do or how much you can lose if you do it wrong, well, it's up to everyone to rely on that, but it's a risk. So, yes, for me, explain the blockchain is not so complex.
Thank you. Laura?
So I think that, first of all, you don't start a network with 10 different stakeholders, 10 different business, because it's impossible to establish at the beginning the rules. As I said, when I was speaking, explain and find a business model that can be profitable for many peers is challenging and need to be done step by step. First of all, the first one, you need to find the one that have common interest, because otherwise there is no story.
But within an industry or?
Can be also your competitor. It depends which type of network you are building up, in which type of business. And you have to start step by step, like with a small network, and then grow and test it.
Thank you.
From our side, we are really commercializing our softwares to banks. And as you can imagine, banks are difficult to move. I'm sure you know how it is. I think the very first question is, what is this digital asset? I think that's very important that they understand that, okay, our software is not necessarily obliging you to use digital assets. You can use fiat currencies, for instance, and you can do business as usual, but you can use this technology in order to be faster and have a better experience. And I think when you get to the digital asset, you have to really be very educational. It's all about education. It's ensuring that this is a new stuff. I mean, I'm coming from old wars. I'm learning every day about it. So, and you have to explain it in a very simple way, as you rightly mentioned. And even with the regulators, I think when they understand what you want to do and what is the problem that you want to solve and why this technology can help it, they understand it. I think it's just a question of, it takes time. It really takes time. It's like internet. When it started, they want to ban internet because there were so many different use cases. But I think we will get to a moment that the use case, you will have very credible use cases and you will have this technology helping to resolve the problem. And I think that's where we have to be patient.
Thank you. Great. So we'll move on to next question, which is about, well, when we build a house, well, we don't build a house, well, I don't at least, but when we build a new technology in terms of the infrastructure and implementation, I mean, what are the challenges within your different organizations, different worlds?
For us, and I said for all the partners, and this is why we have a blockchain net that is built by all the nodes from different partners, is we tell them, look, this is a node. This is a node you will set up in this way. This is how you can connect, and you will start to understand it's a public and permissioned, but you have private and you have other solutions. Doesn't matter. What is important is you understand that you are on top of this technology in terms of understanding that you are installing that in the cloud. No matter, there is several clouds. This is cloud technology. So just to make everyone on board from the beginning of this is what is the technology behind, is easier than other technologies, and is once your technical team, your IT team, depending on the size of your company, sees that you can do it in a very few days and very easily, then it starts the magic of understanding what is the data you want to put, how you can put the data, and how you do the business case, no? And the business and how you will operate. But I agree with Laura, it's a step by step, and the first thing is be less furious about something you don't understand. So we try to help them to understand it's easier, it's something you can do. There is policies and procedures. And later on, you will program on top of that. You will have your smart contracts, your legal team, your legal tech, and your providers, and so on. But just explain step by step.
But what Laura mentioned in terms of lack of experience, how do you deal with that?
The lack of experience, sometimes for us, first you need to have a technical team somehow. This is not avoidable. So you have a technical team who's coming from two sides. Either is coming from infrastructure and they know how to deal with cloud technology, which one? Or either is coming from a development team and they know how to deal with software, and hopefully they know how to deal with software like Java, or coming from anyone who is a little bit backend, who is a software that is coming from the backend, not just publishing front-end PHP, or not just that, but already Java or JavaScript, something that is really understanding the objects. If you have a developer or you have an infrastructure team, or guys or girls, if you have it there, you will ramp up them in understanding in less than a few months. So this is, and then just play it, just help on understanding the change, communication, how data, what is the data you send, and help them to set up the business case with the business team. So this is what is really needed, is to have an agile team. So somebody who is everyone working together in a cell, business, legal, and IT. And that is how it works easily. That you can do it more complex, but the easy thing is put them together.
Thank you.
So I explained quite in detail all the challenges, but I think that the most critical one are not from a technical perspective, even though, of course, there is not so much experience. The most critical one are the one related to a new mindset. It's difficult for an enterprise to accept that they should start sharing business processes or sharing their logic. And it's also difficult, for example, for open source software to, again, let the enterprise accept that the software that they will produce will be shared with many parties. So the solution is like time, and they need time to digest the new mentorship.
But to share business processes, would you do that as well in a public blockchain?
So when I'm speaking with the business implementation, I'm always speaking about private blockchain, where, of course, is guaranteed a degree of privacy that other blockchain that not allowed, even though there are like use cases that can fit the public blockchain as well.
Thank you.
In our case, again, the challenge is always adoption from the industry, because it's not a very advanced industry in terms of they still relate a lot of in paper, and they are very resistant to change. So we need to do everything behind the scenes to make it simple for them. So it's still a lot of things to do.
Thank you.
We have done lots of simplification or standardization in terms of adoption, because when you ask a financial institution to put production volumes, you cannot wait 3 years for the implementation. Otherwise, the business case is negative. So I think somehow shielding some of the complexity in terms of product adaptation is very important. I don't want to be very technical, but for instance, there are certain formats that are used today by financial industry. If you want to touch that, that means that the big cost will come in. So we have created certain translation between the formats. We are helping banks to keep certain processes, but make that faster. So that this, is a progressive change, is not a big bang, because otherwise you can't go large scale. It's very difficult, and it's going to be very costly to adopt.
Yeah. Thank you. So we'll move to the next question, which is a bit, well, in regard to mistakes. So within your careers or within your organizations, what would you do differently in terms of implementing blockchain?
So in my point, so in my case, we didn't arrive to the point to do so many mistakes and so many implementation in terms of amount of implementation of blockchain in order to say, yeah, okay, next time we'll do different, because it's really experimental, and especially if you choose a different type of blockchain.
So it's too early to talk about mistakes.
Yes.
Next year.
But even before.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's very early for us as well. We've been on the market for less than a year with Tracer, but blockchain is not our main business. It's just a tool for us to get our clients what they want. So we'll definitely need to see more cases of adoption to see how we can definitely improve the processes as well.
Thank you.
I will say, in my case, I think we are quite fast on the consortium. It's something that I didn't plan, or myself, I couldn't see a transformation in less than 1 year and a half as we did. So usually I think it's needed 3 years, like to establish where you go, how you do it, and do a proper transformation. In my past life was like this, at least 3 years. And we have done that in 1 year and a half. We ran too fast sometimes. And we communicated in a way that for this year we changed the communication. We will take more care on how we communicate, how we involve everyone. The blockchain wall, it's something that came from a crypto anarchy. So it came from a philosophy of life and philosophy and ideology. And we just moved from this 2008 movement. No? We have been going through 2008 to 2015, when it appears Ethereum, it appears smart contract, it appears 2012 Ripple. So we have been over the last years very fast on that, and some people maybe have an ideology behind, and just to explain that this is just technology and can't fit for any ideology is something that we need to take more care. And I think this year is about talking about ethics, about governance, about what that means to implement a new net for everyone in a different world. And this is about ethics, and to put some focus and forum about talking about that. And this is what I think last year we didn't do it. We were too fast on technology, too fast on business, too fast on legal, and maybe we should take care on that, and this year focus more on ethics, governance, and have this common understanding for everyone that you can be a great developer, but if your great development is not fitting on the wall, it's just not enough. No? So it's just to have multidiscipline and involve more the developments with the legals and the business, and have a common understanding on where we are going together with this new understanding of technology. So this is ethics and also governance, how we will govern private and public and permissioned blockchains.
Thank you.
I think from our perspective, and going back probably to your point, is it's not around mistakes, I think is normal. We are learning that. But it's around focus. I think it's very important to have a focus. I think some people think that blockchain can solve all the problem of the world. I don't think so. I think it's very important to know what you want to resolve and use this technology to resolve it. Because some people I heard in different occasions that, yes, blockchain is there, now we will find the problem. No, I don't think it's the other way around. You have to find the problem and then to see how blockchain is changing things. But personally, I think from experience it's very important as well to have an internal alignment between different parties involved in the delivery. We see that it's important to have a customer success, a delivery team that understands sales and marketing. So I think it's not only about outside, but it's a lot about inside and believing in what you do. That I think is very important.
Thank you. I just got a sign. We only have 5 minutes left. So, I would like to ask you one last question in regard to how we're going to get more women into blockchain. Because if blockchain is going to have a huge impact on society and our economy as it is expected, and all industries basically. We'll see, nobody knows, but it's important to get more women on board. So how can we do that, and how are we going to do that?
I think first of all we need to highlight that there is a lot of women, it's true, that are behind the scenes. So usually they don't are public, they don't like to go to networking events, they don't like to be in the stage, and they just work on development. They like the software, they like the hardware, and they are there on telecom technologies, and that's all. And they are not visible enough. So first of all, we need to highlight that it's important to communicate. It's important to show the rest of the world that what you are doing in a telecom company or in a software company or in a hardware or in another company where you are in the IT department, it's important. You are maybe the only one or two more like you, but just a step forward. Just say, yes, I know about software, I know about that. On the other hand, it's true that since we don't have these role models, and then somebody can think that engineering is just for some type of mindset, just to highlight that no, the engineering is for all type of mindsets, and it's so creative as it can be art. And for me, programming is art, because I can translate something that I imagine in letters that are programmed in a machine, and this is beautiful. So when you have a good understanding of what that means, language, code, algorithms, and you put it and you make it happen, and that is automatized, and machine to machine is connected, it's a most beautiful thing to be done, like any other thing that you can be done as a woman. So you are creating. So this is something that people doesn't understand properly, because we don't teach about engineering or about software in that way. We teach about something mechanics, and most of the women, I think, we don't like mechanics, or yes, but it's not what we want to hear. So changing the way of learning and teaching these technologies will help. It's my point of view.
Thank you.
I think education is very important. And more blockchain gets to the universities, to the research, the easier will be for the people to understand it. And I think I will go to the fact that I'm not a technical person. I don't have a technical mind neither. But I think what is important is that I see a value, and I started really to be interested because of this value and change. And then you learn it through the journey. I think you shouldn't be afraid. This is not very difficult. If I can make it, I think many people can do it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then I totally agree with what you've said. And then I think that events like this one definitely help to give visibility to women that have done something and they want to share something with people, and that can be, I don't know, somehow helping.
Thank you. Laura?
So I don't know the statistic, honestly, but I think that...
there is almost no. None. I did some research the other day.
I don't think that there is the difference between blockchain and other technology, or at least I'm coming from the technology space, and I have quite the impression that in blockchain, because it's more a technology that is more, let's say, famous compared to other technology that attract more women rather than, maybe I'm totally wrong. In any case, I have just a suggestion on my personal opinion. So yesterday I did an event, and there was a group of girls. They were studying, and they just came. They didn't know anything about blockchain, but they were just curious. So my suggestion is push yourself if you have some interest in the technology, in meetups, events like this, where you can start know about this world, and don't care if there are only boys, and don't care of what they can do about the fact that you are there. Just like try and push yourself.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I guess now we are moving to you, the audience. Is that correct? Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so yeah, first of all, thank you very much for listening to us. Do you have any questions? Anything you would like to ask? Yes?
Hello, good evening. First of all, thank you very much for your inputs. I think everybody have enjoyed that. The question is, there is this story that blockchains consume a massive amount of energy. No? So my question is, what's your opinion about that? And if there is any plan from the ecosystem to improve this or to change this?
I can take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can take it in terms of, yes, in the long time ago, no, 3 years ago, it was true, it was proof of work. Proof of work was an algorithm that was quite intense on hardware, and hardware was intense on energy. The truth is that it had been changed, the algorithm has changed to proof of stake, and now there is plasma, and there is a lot of coming up new developments where this energy is not so necessary and is more sustainable. So the question is, maybe we started too early to talk about this technology when it still was not or is not yet finalized, and we are optimizing and making it more sustainable for the planet. Yes, yes, that's the situation right now. It's not about how many energy you are using for the blockchain. It's more about how much you are optimizing the code to make it useful for business and for society.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, sorry, hi. Ooh. On the implementation front, I have a question for all of you that has to do more with the industry application. So I've read a few articles now that say that the industry now in focus is insurance. How do you think that blockchain can be implemented in that industry, and what's your personal opinion?
Yes, in the insurance, I take it and you can. In the insurance world, yes, it's been used already. So in fact, we have 2 or 3 cases already from some big companies that they are using blockchain just to certify in a very amount of time that you have done something. Example, travel, no trips. Yes, the airplane was late, so I can guarantee that I'm going to return. If you claim because your airplane was late, I can guarantee you can get your claim. So it's more about micro payments, micro insurance, insurance of small things. And this is what we have seen in the market right now. It's really, there is startups and big corporation who has a spin-off on this topic. But moreover, there is more about big insurance. If you are testifying, no, you have a demonstration in the blockchain that something happened, so you can guarantee that the payment of the claim is true. You don't have to spend a lot of effort and cost on verifying the evidence. So this is why in the insurance world, they are really interested, the insurance companies, on using blockchain. And they are one of the first ones that were coming in the corporation, in our case, in the consortium in Alastria. So there is traceability and also authenticity. So you know exactly timestamp, so you can verify your claim and make it much easier on the payment. And also because you are in the same network like the banks and like the clients and like the insurance, so everything can be automatized. It's the same for the tickets, no?
Exactly. Settlements is trust, transparency, immutability of the chain. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been very inspiring, and that's not an easy topic. I was wondering, how long do you think it's going to take for blockchain technology to be widely adopted? When are we going to start seeing in every company like a blockchain technology is the same way that we have now, like Android, iOS developer, data scientists? Do you think it's going to take a few years or more? What's your opinion on that?
I think it's already, we have already, like the case of Ripple, no, we have already real use. And I will say, let me say it, because you have been spreading around, no, with lots of banks, so you have a quite big network right now in 2019. So there is already some real cases, no? Another one is, and I will say Laura, no, on transportation, on big transportation, no, the tracking of commerce, of big e-commerce that needs to track all the containers that were appearing before. This is also being in use, no? This is what we call there is private blockchains, no? The private blockchains are there, they have been used, and there are use cases. What is most challenging is the, let's say, public and permissioned blockchains. So the permissioned blockchain that it was, we are looking for that. The cases, the use cases are already there. We have already in Alastria, I will say several of them, more linked with academia, certification, no, also property, intellectual property, I verify something, insurance, no, I have an insurance, I can claim. So we have seen more and more this type of use cases for the business. What is going to be difficult, and I will say we need still to have at least a couple of years, is to really monetize, no, to really have business cases with big amount of return, no, and well, there is some analysis that says that will happen in 2030. So we still have some years in front of us, no? But to have these 3 million, no, it was 3,000 billions of dollars that will be managing on the new internet, on the new blockchain net. This is like 10 years now, so it's not bad, and we are there. So.
I would add that it's demystifying a bit as well. As long as oversight is not very clear, because at the end is blockchain with crypto and there are some misunderstandings sometimes. I think as soon as we have a better legal framework and oversight around that, it's going to be a larger scale. Yeah.
But I also guess here, just to add an example on logistics and shipping, one of the biggest projects called TradeLens, you have Maersk behind, the largest shipping company in the world, together with IBM, trying to build a blockchain for this industry. And I guess also one of the issues we see and will see in the future is like, so who are you going to collaborate with your competitors? How are you going to get your competitors on board if it's semi-private, the blockchain, or are you going to do it 100% public and then nobody owns the data? So you'll also see some of these issues, and this is already coming up with, for example, TradeLens, that some competitors don't want to jump on this project, even though it's very ambitious and makes lots of sense and could save the shipping industries, I don't know how many trillions. So, yes.
It will take some time, but it will come.
No, and there is some social cases, no? Like United Nations is already using it for tracing some of the goods that are going to the refugees camps, and this is a reality, it's working. So there is very good social cases of use of blockchain right now in public blockchain. So this is just to get the leverage on levels of wellness and healthness. So we will see it in at least 10 years from now on. Yes.
Hi, thank you very much for your talk. I would like to ask you about dispute resolution on the blockchain. And I don't know, what are your thoughts about some projects like Kleros systems, so implementing arbitrating systems to resolve disputes? And if you think that these kind of systems can actually replace the legal systems that we have right now, traditional systems. Thank you.
Legal will be for Victoria, no?
Sorry, can you repeat that question? Yeah, I was trying to look for you, and then I don't know, I couldn't. Yeah, sorry.
So there are some projects going on the line for solving dispute resolution. So dispute resolutions on the blockchain. So for example, there are systems which you can pick some people arbitrarily, and then they can kind of be judging some problems that may occur on the blockchain. So my question is if you think that this kind of layer of dispute resolution on the blockchain can actually replace the traditional legal systems that we have today for solving disputes. I don't know.
I still didn't get the question. So you mean like on a blockchain to have some kind of another layer, having some more control to decide whether something is correct or not. Is that what you're asking? Or
You are referring to a smart contract or?
Yeah, to smart contracts and some systems that exist today that allows you to solve problems. So for example, if a person says one thing and the other says the opposite, so you can actually pick another person from the network and decide if who has who is right and who is wrong. So you think that this kind of systems that are being developed on the blockchain can in the future replace the traditional systems that we have today for solving disputes? Is that honest?
Well, it's an interesting question. I mean, I'm just thinking of one of the things you potentially can have on a blockchain is an identity and a credit score. So without having a bank account and a credit score within the bank, you can have a credit score. So I can imagine that based on a bit your track record within a blockchain, that could help deciding whether you're right or not, depending on your history and how you've been interacting with different stakeholders and players in an ecosystem.
Will be simplified for sure. So that's for sure, because you have a trace that what happened something and you have an evidence and it's there, it's in the net. So it will be for sure more simplified in terms of ambiguity when you do a legal resolution. So it will be simplified. Doesn't mean that it will disappear, so it could never happen. But for example, escrow accounts, all these elements that we are using to just put a dispute on a little bit parked lot and then wait until the resolution is done, it will be faster. It will be, there is the evidence or there isn't. And it will be fast, and on top of that, if we put machine learning, we put software that is a little bit more intelligent to understand what is a claim and what is not, and so on. Of course, we are automatizing. We are doing less things that are mechanics, no? that are something that is standard. So the legal teams will have other type of work that I guess it will be more interesting, I hope. Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm here.
Yes.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Yes, I have two general questions. And first, thank you very much for the great talk today. I came here because I do not know so much about blockchain, so I want to know something about it. So after listening to all the talks and the nice discussion, I'm wondering, what's your favorite way to explain to someone who has no knowledge of blockchain, about blockchain? How do you help them to understand?
How do you do that?
So the second question, after you answer the first question, it will be, if somebody wants to start learning or working in blockchain, what will be your advice for them? So where should they find good material to start, and what kind of companies are there in Europe if they want to join some? Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you.
So I take it because the definition of, I cut the definition of blockchain because otherwise it was too long, and I was scared to overlap the same topic with the other presentation. So if you ask to 10 persons the definition of blockchain, you will get 10 different definitions. It's not subjective, but it seems that it's subjective because everyone provides his own version. The shortest one is blockchain. It's a ledger of up-and-only transaction that is basically like a spreadsheet of Google spreadsheet. So you share that document with your colleagues, and the difference is that you cannot modify, delete what is written, and you can only write in sequence. This is one. And the other one that I like to give and provide is that blockchain is a combination of different types of technologies and the component. Those technologies were not new. For example, cryptography and distributed system. There are technologies that are alive. Since 60s and 70s, I studied some of that technology when I studied computer science at university. And the different, what blockchain brought to the table is resolving some issue that before wouldn't be resolved. The first concept of blockchain came around 1990, and Satoshi Nakamoto in 2008, when he wrote the paper, basically find a way to resolve the double spending problem. That is, in two words, if me and you, we start to transact, I give you a pen and you have to pay me a pen, we don't need to use PayPal, we don't need, to use Amazon to do it. We have a system of trust where neither myself nor you can cheat to the other. I was prepared.
Well, I can explain it a bit differently. Basically, I would say it's a database, right? So everything in a firm is stored in a database, right? I mean, everything, as you said, an Excel, right? So I think you should just see it as a database. And this database is basically, all of us in here, we have a computer at home, and it's stored on all our computers. That's why it's distributed, decentralized. And the data on this database, we all have a copy of this on our computer. Nobody owns it. And, as Laura said, you can't change any information because, well, you can, but it's very difficult because the data is stored on a blockchain, which means one block is connected to another block. So if you change something here and it's connected to this block, the whole network will realize that there is a change in the block. So basically, it's a database, and it's stored on all our computers around the world, I would say.
I will not add anything because it makes it more complicated.
No, but in terms of where you can learn, no? And we hope you can learn in the university soon, but it's not the case in Europe yet. You can learn in some degrees that are post-universities or in schools or either online. In Alastia, we have promoted all the universities to join us in the way of standardizing the way of teaching. And why, as Laura was saying, we have right now several ways of understanding. All the ways are right. The thing is that how we can join all these ways of explaining in a package that is a studies plan, and hopefully in a few years we have that in the universities, at least in computer science, in engineering, but moreover in legal, no, in all these legal and economics universities, because it's about changing the way how we learn everything. So I hope we can soon have that in a formal way, and in the time being, I can recommend you some courses.
Thank you. So I just got a sign. This, so means we have to finish now. So thank you so much. It was amazing to be here with you. It's great to have you from different industries trying to explain what's going on, what you're trying to solve, some of the mistakes, or maybe not mistakes because it's too early to talk about mistakes.
Improvements.
Yeah, improvements, exactly. So as far as I understand, we have a networking session now. And yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.